And this question comes from Edward. You'll get this a lot. What does Suno mean for music creators? What happens when computers do almost all the work? AI mixing, AI instruments, AI melody generation. How do we deal with this?
So as a result of this question, I signed up for Suno. And what I did was I took the first song on my album and I took the lyrics. You can either just generate a track based upon a prompt. I actually took lyrics, but you can generate lyrics as well. And then you put in a prompt. So it's a style of music. So I put in dark, electronic, trippy IDM, because the first song on my album is me talking about how I've got this problem that I get angry and envious, and I want to know why. Okay. Or you can click a button called Use Random Style. So what I did was I put in the lyrics, and the lyrics were a bit weird actually. So my lyrics in this song, the idea of the lyrics are that there's this rhyme, loads of the song rhymes with problem, right? So I've got words like hobgoblin and demon, because the idea is that I'm stuck in this problem. So the rhyme is the purpose of the rhyme is to feel very claustrophobic and stuck. So the words are kind of weird. I mean, I really do push the rhyming beyond what is advisable. You know, if I went to a Pat Patterson lecture, he would probably tell me off or something, because it's like, you know, I think I have a problem, a thieving, deceiving hobgoblin who's riding shotgun, because I want that feeling of claustrophobia. So they are quite weird lyrics. So I was interested to see what the AI would do. And then you put in a style of music, dark, trippy IDM, and then that's what I put in. And then I click create, and it does 2 versions. Okay. And I actually generated 8 different versions of the track, because you've got 10 tries per day, okay, for free. And then I clicked use random style for my final 2, and the random style it came up with was anthemic future bass. When I actually did this, my main emotion that I felt was not fear or anxiety, although there was some of that, but probably for different reasons than most people would expect. My main emotion was excitement, okay? And the reason for that were that all 8 of the tracks were extremely vanilla and generic. And having said that, though, they were pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play one which actually inspired me. Like, I was like, this is an interesting, it's a very, very different, because the way I've got the track is I'm actually playing a Fender Rhodes. And so it's like a played song thing. And this is just very kind of different. And it gave me a different perspective on the lyrics. Okay. So this is this is one of the better ones. Can you hear that?
I have a problem when I hear from someone a voice who's made a choice, a path I didn't take. I lose a slice of freedom to my green-eyed demon, and my demon doesn't realize that my journey is my own. Comparisons are thin disguise for a fear of the unknown. I think I have a problem, a thieving, deceiving hobgoblin.
This is ridiculous.
A thieving,
deceiving hobgoblin. Like, no, AI, that's not what I mean at all. A thieving, deceiving hobgoblin just isn't going to work. That's not how you're meant to sing that. But it's a very different take on it, which actually expanded the way that I heard those words. Now, I'm not going to sort of copy that or anything like that, but I could. I mean, if let's say I've got some lyrics, so that's one thing I could do. I could use it to inspire me, right? Now let me just play some of the pap that it came up with. So this is one of the anthemic future bass. This is the anthemic future bass version.
I think I have a problem When I hear from someone, a voice has made a choice, a path I didn't take. I lose a slice of freedom to my green-eyed demon, and my demon doesn't realize that my journey is my own. Comparisons are thin disguise for a fear of the unknown. I think I have a problem. A demon deceiving hobgoblin. He's riding shotgun.
Watch out, Taylor Swift. Oh, it is incredible. I mean, it is absolutely incredible what it can do. But to me, so for one thing, one of the reasons that people who aren't so worried about this, because I would count myself as, for what I'm doing, I'm not saying this is true for people who are writing this kind of music, which I would put in the, I mean, even though there's a lot of skill involved in doing it, I would put it in terms of what the result, the cookie cutter category. Okay, so that is obviously a negative take on it, but you've heard that a million times before, even though the lyrics are so weird in that context, right? So, but you've heard that a million times before. So even though before AI, there was a lot of skill involved, so I'm not downplaying the skill involved in doing a good job of that kind of music, but I would definitely put that kind of music in the cookie cutter category. So I just want to say that I do feel, if I was one of those people, I would be feeling very worried. I would also be feeling terribly worried if I was making music that is almost required to be cookie cutter. So there's a lot of corporate music and TV music, and not all, but you know. So for instance, I don't think Hans Zimmer needs to worry too much at this stage, because you know he's kind of on the artist end of things. You know, that kind of film composer. But the people who are doing the kind of very jobby music, so there are entire industries and livelihoods that are going to be destroyed. I mean, the thing is, I'm someone who was in a industry which was completely destroyed. I used to release my music on vinyl, and then the internet came along and completely destroyed that. I mean, funnily enough, vinyl's coming back again now, which we'll probably talk about in another another mailbag episode. But you know, I was in, so I really do feel for those people, and if I was one of those people, I would be terrified. I would be horrified, because yeah, I mean, you could say that it's not quite right yet, but that compared to what we were listening to, do you remember in 2022 when I was doing in the Music Machine activations and I was talking about AI? You know, it was AI is coming activation, and we were using various different tools, and they were ridiculous. I mean, they were kind of ridiculous. They sounded terrible. This is amazing. I mean, I don't like the music very much, but it's incredible what an AI can do just based upon 5 words, right? So I'm not going to stand here and say I'm not worried because I don't think an AI can do what I can do, right? So I'm not saying that there's no way that an AI is going to be able to do what an artist can do, right? I don't know whether they can or not. I don't know whether there will always be something missing, but I don't think that's, whether it does or not is immaterial. Okay, I mean, by the amount that the AI music generators have improved just in a few months is leading me to believe that an AI probably will be able to do what a human can do, right? It can't yet, because I don't think an AI can do what I want it to do or what I can do with my music, right? But let's just pretend, for the purposes of this conversation, that in theory, an AI could do anything a human can do. Even in that case, there still has to be someone, a human or an AI, who wants to do it, who desires to create it, and who is doing it for a reason. So until an AI becomes conscious in terms of the art itself, there's always going to have to be a human telling the AI to do something. And that human is going to have a purpose or a reason for doing it. So in other words, what the AI is doing here, in fact, it is fundamentally different because it's generating things, but it's essentially the same as, if you think about it's taking the question of how do I do this out of the equation. So, and what it's leaving is what do I want to do and why do I want to do it? Right? So if an AI, putting aside the concerns about kind of existential risks from AIs becoming conscious and all that kind of thing, let's just not worry about that for now, because that's a whole other thing. But if an AI is simply a tool there to be used, it's removing the how, but someone still wants to make this type of piece of music, what? For this reason, right? So it's removing the question of skill in the area of how, not in the area of what and why, right? Because I wouldn't release that last version because I think it's terrible and ridiculous, right? I wouldn't even release the version that I played before. And by the way, out of the 10, there were 2 that I put thumbs up to. I've only played 1 of them. Okay. So I wouldn't put any of the others out. I mean, I wouldn't even actually put the first one that I played out either, because it wasn't right. But the way that it sang Hobgoblin was ridiculous, and that's not how you meant to sing it, right? So in other words, as an artist, let's say I was using tools to make melodies and tools to make bass lines and tools to make all of this, I would still have to bring my artistic taste into it in order to create the music, because I know what I want for what reason. So in other words, as if you're thinking as an artist, where I want to make unique music that expresses something about myself, I don't actually care too much whether I'm actually pushing the buttons on the bloody keyboard or whether I'm typing into a box. I mean, I might enjoy pressing the buttons on the keyboard, and I might actually at this stage and for the foreseeable future get a better result from doing that. In fact, I'm not going to use these AI generated pieces for this piece of music because I enjoy playing it the way I'm playing it, and it's much, much closer of a connection to what I'm trying to say. It's so much more. But and if in the future an AI can do that, it might actually be quicker for me to just bloody play it, or it might not, and I would get a different result. But it's just like saying, well, I might use a drum machine for that instead. So because as an artist, my goal is to create something that expresses a purpose uniquely in a way that only I can do it, that may well at some point mean that I use AI to do that in some cases, and in some cases it may well not. It doesn't change anything really. Of course, actually, before we move on, Joni, what's your opinion about this?
It's very similar to yours. It's showing that if how you're creating music is completely craftist, and say my day job,
let's
for
just
example,
explain what a craftist
Yeah.
is, just in case, because that's like a word that we use all the time in Make Music Your Life, and some people might not understand. So what's the difference between a craftist and an artist?
Okay, yeah. A craftist would be basically making music according to a genre, historically recognized genre template, basically. Like rock sounds a certain way, country sounds a certain way, pop sounds a certain way, and you're making things that fit that particular sound, because if you get a production order from a client, they're going to want a driving swagger rock beat, and you kind of know what that is, and you kind of make that, and you kind of replicate it to be similar to all the other swagger rock beats. So that is the craftist, right? The artist is going to make a piece of music that is actually expressing something from within, a story, an idea, a metaphor about how something is going in their day that day, right? It's going to be an expression. So they're going to use sound, and they're going to create a piece of music that isn't necessarily even genre based. It's metaphoric based. And in that, there's going to be a uniqueness, almost a fingerprint from the artist in what it is that they're creating. And there can be varying degrees of the two, or you can overlap them to different degrees depending on the purpose or the function of what somebody's trying to get done. Now, if you're completely on the craftist, you're doing the sound-alikes, music sound-alikes for production orders, then yeah, AI is coming along to get you.
Yeah.
But if you're on the artist end, where you're using it to, you're using music to express something, you're going to be so unique. Your music could be so crazy that AI cannot do it. Remember, AI cannot make anything new. It does not have the capacity to make anything new. It can only replicate at this point in time. So it can only replicate on what it's been fed and what it knows and what it's heard. It cannot make anything new. That's where humans surpass AI right now, is we are the ones that can experiment and make something new and be ingenious with what it is that we do. So if you're going to be in the artist route, then yeah, it's going to be a tool to help you along that line to create something new, to still stand out.
Yeah, so there's the new part. So there's definitely making something new. I mean, an AI, I suppose, could make something new in that it might hallucinate, for instance. So audio hallucinate. Yeah. So that's actually something that's interesting about AI. When I'm writing lyrics, if I get really, really stuck, I will go to ChatGPT and ask for it to sort of come up with, and it usually comes up with a load of pap, but occasionally there's just an idea that I'm like, oh, that's an idea. So it's almost like it can accidentally come up with something new. But it's not only that; it's also the thing. So if we go back to this one, let's go to the bit.
Shotgun weaving his web. I think I have a problem. A thieving, deceiving hobgoblin.
That's like that makes. I mean, that lyric is a bit weird anyway, right? It's meant to be weird, right? But a thieving, deceiving hobgoblin, right, makes it sound like the worst lyric known to mankind. I mean, it's just literally cringe of all cringy, right? Now, what the reason for that is the AI is not understanding how to sing it. It's like I can't tell it how to sing that line, right? And this is getting to what I'm talking about. It's like in order to get across what I'm trying to do with that lyric, I can't. I mean, I suppose there might at some point in the future be a tool where I could tell it and try multiple times to, or no, could do it a bit more like this, do a bit more, but in that case, I might as well just do it myself. It's almost like, yes, it's a tool and it might not be the ideal tool for me to express these lyrics as I've written them. Right? So yep. If you're writing generic music, right, whether that be for production orders, so some client is asking you, or whether that be because you're trying to fit into a particular market, or you're trying to get DJ gigs, or, you know, if you are writing generic music, then yes, this is something to be worried about. This is something to fear. And I feel terrible for the people who are going to lose their livelihoods, because I have been through that myself. So I'm not downplaying what a destructive force is going to be for that side of things. But on the positive side, and purely on a personal level, because that's like, as an artist who is trying to, I mean, I've got zero aspirations to make music in a genre. I mean, I would use a genre in order to express a purpose if it meant something. It's a little bit like using an interpolation or a sample. I might use a particular genre in order, because there are certain associations we have with that genre. So if I was trying to think, if I was writing a track about a party, for instance, I might do a house track, right? But that's an artistic use of a genre. It's not, I'm writing within a genre, right? I'm not making another version of the same table, right? I'm actually using, so I might well use a genre as a color, as a purposeful thing, right? But aside from that, I've got no aspirations to make music in a genre that sounds like someone else. Yeah, I'm, as a musician, on a relentless search for my music, my sound, my style. This is actually exciting because it's going to, like, it could help me do that. In fact, it already has. The start of that track has got me thinking about a slightly, it's got just a different way in to the meaning of those lyrics. The start of that track, I was like, oh, that's actually very kind of, it's got a feeling to it before the beat comes in, right? Which is going to inform my performance of this song, right? So I'm getting ideas from the AI about how I could reinterpret this song to make it better, to make it more purposeful. But I'm doing the choosing. I'm deciding what is relevant and what isn't relevant. Even, right, and I think this gets to the thing that I think in the question is the problem with the question. What happens when computers do almost all the work? In fact, let's just remove the almost. What happens when computers do all the work? You know what the problem is with that question is it assumes that just because they could do all the work, they will do all the work. But who decides if they do all the work? The artist, right? So just because something could do it doesn't mean it has to, and doesn't mean that you must make it do that, right? What happens when computers could do all the work? Well, if you change the question to that, what happens when computers could do all the work? Well, I'll tell you what happens is a lot of the stuff I am not interested in doing, that I'm not very good at, can be done in a second. Right? Again, with the caveat that this is going to fundamentally alter a lot of the industry and livelihoods and things like that. So that is a massive problem, right? With that caveat. But let's just take it from my perspective. If I don't want to do the mixing, I can get an AI to do it way better than I ever could. If I don't want to do this particular thing, I can, because I'm still going to have to use my taste and curate what I'm doing into a final product that I want to make that has a purpose that I have decided. So it's like, just because an AI can do the work, number one, I don't want it to do all the work because I like certain parts of the music. I put the lyrics in here. I wrote the lyrics, right? So I'm not going to get the AI to write the lyrics for me because I don't want to, right? And anyway, it probably wouldn't write these lyrics. I mean, obviously it wouldn't write these lyrics, right? It's like, I'm like, as a human being, until an AI becomes conscious, I am deciding what the AI will or won't do, right? Now, there is a question that comes up here that I am concerned about, that I am anxious about, and that is if, because there's going to be a lot of people who just make, they're not artists and they've never been able to make music, and so they're just going to make loads and loads of music. So we're going to get flooded with this kind of music. It's going to be, like 100,000 tracks uploaded a day, which is I think where we're at now, is just going to be a drop in the ocean compared to where we're going to get to. It's going to be like, I mean, it's like unlimited, 100 million tracks a day. How, one of the things I am worried about is how we're going to, aren't we going to get drowned in this pap? So what do you think about that problem? Because that is something that bothers me, that concerns me.
There's also similar along the vein, I guess the AI artists will come along where they make a fake persona and then you can put it on the internet. You can even make like a whole what are they, the influencer, a fake AI influencer, and do all that.
It's already
who's
happening,
to say
yeah.
You can't make a fake AI influencer who's a musician quote unquote AI musician. The whole thing is just AI, and then you do everything. That's going to be there. The thing is how do you get the AI influencer that's not real right now to have a connection with another human being, to sit there and, you know, put on Zoom and have a conversation with their fans? You know, how can that happen? Have that real connection happen? You know, there are going to be people who enjoy
Facebook, Meta are already kind of doing that, where I think that is something that they're looking to do. I mean, what do you say to that? So let's just say there was a point at which this AI influencer could also have like a chat bot attached to it, and it could even have video. I mean, that there is that already coming. So it's like it's like a I mean,
pseudo connection.
Yes,
like an Android, I guess, almost like an online Android.
Yeah.
There's going to be people that dig it and people that don't. There's going to be people that want strictly the human connection, and there's going to be people that are intrigued and they're going to want the play with a robot connection. You know, it's like going to watch cartoons versus watching real live movie. It's just another genre.
What if you couldn't tell? I mean, again, I want us to theorize as if we're going to get to that point, because given how quickly things have gone, I don't want to say that that's never going to happen, because I think the chances are it probably will happen, right? Looking at the way it's going now, right? So what about in that situation?
It's like anything else. If it excites somebody and somebody's really into it, somebody still has to make all of that. Somebody still has to be a tastemaker and choose that music, choose that particular look of that robot. It's like there's still a human behind the creation of all of that.
It's the same situation. Like whether it's an AI or whether it's a human, let's talk about it as a competition. I mean, I don't kind of see it like that, but we are competing with other stuff. Some of the AI stuff is going to be great, and some of the AI stuff is going to be bad. Some of the artist stuff, the human stuff, is going to be great. Some of the human stuff is going to be bad. I don't mean, probably what will end up happening is we won't even be able to make that distinction. Some stuff is going to be more AI and some stuff's going to be more human. But at the end of the day, people are going to like some of it and people aren't going to like other bits of it. We're essentially in the same situation. And to be honest with you, I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm not sure. So I think a really big step change is going from, I don't know, 1,000 releases a day to 100,000 a day. But the step change from 100,000 to it's almost like there's just too much. Right. It's almost like it's like, at what point does too much just be a massive amount, full stop? Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether this is true or not, but it could be that the step change from 100,000 a day to 1 million a day is a lot less than the step change from 1,000 a day to 100,000 a day. In terms of, it's just a load of stuff that nobody can process. So in other words, it's actually making much, much more important, number one, that we are connecting with the people. We're attempting to create a community around our music, but also that our music is unique, right? That our music stands apart and therefore above the crowd. It's the same thing that I've been saying for years. It's like, I mean, again, it's not exactly the same. There is a step change here, right? But what I'm saying is, in terms of what we need to do in response to it, is the same as we needed to do before, when music technology became 1,000 times cheaper, almost free, and 1,000 times more easier to use. I mean, when I started, it was just, there wasn't, it was ridiculous. It was, having to work out how to just make a note took like me 3 days kind of thing, right? With these tiny little screens and everything. Everyone talks about like staring at screens and how they hate staring at screens. Try staring at a bloody digital watch side screen all day. So yeah, but anyway, so it was like, now the legions of humans that have joined music, which I applaud, by the way, which I think is a great thing in the aggregate, it was the same problem. We have to figure out how to separate ourselves by making music that only we can make in this new world that we are entering. And it is a new world. I'm not saying it's the same situation, but our response to it is more of the same thing, which is that we have to focus on making unique experiences, unique music that only we can make, that will set us apart. And that is what we want to do. Because at the end of the day, the question you have to ask yourself, are you doing that? Well, why are you actually doing this? I mean, it's in a way, this is a forcing function for a lot of things that could result in the end of the day in better music, not because the AI is making it, but because it's forcing the humans to make better music. Right? It's forcing us to actually think, well, what am I doing and why am I doing it? Like, the people who are, really losing out here are those who probably haven't thought about music in this way. And I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm not saying they're wrong or anything like that, but they just not thought about music in this way. And it's going to, either they're going to stop doing it, which really makes me feel very sad, or they're going to have to think about music in this way. And I believe, from my perspective, that is a good thing, or it could be a good thing. I mean, along the way, there's going to be a lot of mess, a lot of blood on the floor, and that's bad, unqualified bad. But having gone through, in maybe a smaller way, with the internet revolution, the destruction of music and music industry as we knew it, and out of the other side, some good things happening as a result. I think the same thing may well be true. I mean, it's still happening, by the way. It's still playing out, right? So I don't think, for instance, where we are now, I would say is better than where we were. I mean, I don't know, it's hard to say, but better than where we were like 10 years ago. But it's still, in some ways, a low point. Right? So we don't want to stop here. Let's put it that way. We want to keep going, and we want to keep moving forward. But it could be, and again, I don't want to read the tea leaves too much here, but it could be that this forces. I mean, it's a clearing out process, and if you can't not make music, like if you have to make music because you love doing it, are you going to get an AI to do it? Why would you do that? So in other words, the people who are making music because it's a job or something may well not. I don't know. And those who are making, and again, I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do, but but for me, I'm making music because I love making it, and I want to express myself, and I want to create community and experiences and connections around my music. Well, AI can help me do that, as it has with this 1 out of 10 versions of this track. I mean, how do you feel? Because you've not heard, you've not checked out Suno, right, Joni? I mean, what did you think when you listened to that? What I just played?
Yeah, I've not checked out Suno, but I checked out some others. But the same thing. It's just repeating what's already been made. It's not making anything new to where I'm just like, oh, I haven't heard that before. Like with another AI, I don't remember the name of it, but I tried to get it to replicate or at least make something in one of my crazy songs that I do, and it just couldn't do what I do. As far as my artist stuff, my craftist stuff, oh yeah, it could do that within seconds, like that, whatever. But my artist stuff, it can't do it. At least not yet. Not unless I feed it however many songs or pieces of my music it needs to replicate it. Like it just can't make what I make right now. It can't make something that sounds like Joni.
Yeah, I mean, nothing can make, like by definition, nothing is ever going to be able to make something sound like Joni other than Joni. Whether Joni uses AI tools to do that or not, that is still the case, because you're choosing what to do and
exactly
why you're doing it, right? So in other words, if you love making music, then what AI means is focus everything you do on becoming a unique artist. That's what it means, which is what we were doing already. so yeah. Great. Well, I think we've fully answered that question. I mean, of course, there are other questions like how the AI is doing it and the rights and wrongs of that, and we've not addressed all of that stuff. But certainly in terms of what we do as musicians, I think that's a wrap.